What's up guys? Today I am in Sanctuary of the Swordmaiden, SSM for short. I'm here with my guildies and I thought, hey shit, why not make a guide for you, a live guide of the dungeon. Right, so where do we start? Sanctuary of the Swordmaiden, one of the most boring ass dungeons in Wildstar. It's boring because it's long and it has like pretty many bosses and it's just like, you know, just like a grind fest. Um, First things first, you can do this dungeon with any composition. You need a tank, sometimes even you don't even need a tank if you're overgeared. You need a healer, any healer would do, and 3 DPSs. Now, you can see lots of challenges for this one as well. Today we're not going to be focusing on doing them challenges for gold, because that takes a whole different level of communicating and being on TeamSpeak together and stuff like that. But we're just gonna basically focus on finishing the run, so you guys can get better overview on what the dungeon requires and what we need to do. Do we kill these or are we done? For the mob? Okay, let's skip then. Anyway, so first boss is right here up this ledge. If you wanna just run and skip like we did, you can skip all the mobs before. Jump on the first rock, jump on the second rock, all of you, and the mobs will just reset. Sometimes, in rare occasions, they do come right here under the rock. So, you know, don't be afraid if they're right there, but most of the times they will reset. Now, the first boss, just a quick few words about it. First boss, if you're a tank, try to have 3 interrupts because you're gonna have to interrupt it all the time when we started. Now, if you're a tank, since we started, I need to find one of these motherfuckers. These little things that keep moving around, these are the things that give you threat if you're a tank. So you would want to attack these things a couple of times to get a few stacks. You have your stacks here. At the moment I have 6, which is a bit too much for a tank to have. There is also a challenge not to take more than, how many was it? 25 stacks in total as a group. How you get these stacks? By attacking this, by standing in the circles, or basically by getting those waves, which I'm going to show you in the next phase, which is now. The more you DPS, the... well, shit. Anyway, not gonna show you any more phases because the boss is already dead. Just to finish my sentences because I didn't finish anything. Um, right, so let's quickly take these 2 mobs so I can talk about this first boss a bit more. As a tank, you wanna take those stacks. As a DPS, you shouldn't take any stacks because the more stacks you take, the more likely it is for you to fail the challenge, which is take max 25 stacks as a party, and also you take threat. So as a DPS, if you're a ranged DPS, try to avoid those, you know, attacking those floating things or having them in between you and the boss. So always position yourself accordingly. If you're a healer, take care of the tank. The DPS shouldn't have any stacks on them, so they shouldn't have threat. As a tank, don't bother too much with just attacking the boss, because that's not how you get threat. You get threat by having some stacks. So the ideal scenario would be tank having 1 stack and all of the DPS having 0. That would mean you're a little bit higher than everyone else on threat. Now, that never happens because the DPS always take stacks. So you as a tank, you're gonna probably have around 17 in order to keep the threat, because the DPS is gonna have 20 themselves, which is in turn gonna fail the challenge. But hey, it's a hard dungeon, so don't be discouraged. That was the first boss. Pretty straightforward. Try to avoid those, you know, telegraphs that come from the pillars at the back of the room when it's that phase. Other than that, nothing much to mention. This is an interesting part. We are going to kill this mob. Just for me to show you one thing, guys, if you have, in this part, if you have, this is very important to be interrupted, so whirlwind, make sure you interrupt it. It needs 3, so do it. You see these things, these glowing blue things, they push you up in the air, so you can just, you know, glide over things. You can press the S button to go a bit backwards, W to go forward. But notice if I aggro the mob, then all of these blue things are gonna disappear, which means that if you wanna do some YOLO moves, that means you're going to want to have a mobility skill. Because if you don't and you aggro, then you're not gonna be able to, you know, get from one platform to another. Here we're just gonna skip. You can just double jump and then mobility skill. Everyone has a mobility skill. For engineers it's a bit funnier, they go backwards. But yeah, any other class can do it without no problem. Again, we jump here, we're gonna skip this guy because we don't need him. A mobility skill is not gonna make me reach the other side. Okay, I need to be right at the edge. Let's see what's going on here. Probably our friend is gonna die, so let's just kill them because this time they didn't get the trick. Let's see. Our friend on the other side, Almaria, also has a easy. Now this whirlwind needs to be interrupted. We didn't this time because we used it on something else, but it needs to be interrupted in theory. This is a 2 thing, so I'm just gonna take the threat off him. And we're gonna be killing this one as well. Makes the run longer, so if you don't need them, then you can definitely skip them. But pay attention, whoever has the aggro of the mob does not see these blue little balls here that make you jump higher. So if you as a tank wanna tell your group members, hey guys, now we're gonna skip, then you have to make sure that the mob does not go on the healer. Because if the healer gets threat before you, just by healing in the background, then that poor healer is not gonna see the balls himself either. So he's gonna have to be prepared with a mobility skill. Otherwise, you know, he's gonna just die. It's good to do. It's good to make the run shorter because this is a long dungeon. But don't do it. Don't be crazy. You know, just talk to each other before, you know, or be on TeamSpeak or something like that. As you can see here, 67 minutes remaining in order for you to get silver. So that means that the developers thought that this dungeon should be done in about an hour. So you have to think about that. If the developers thought that this should be done in an hour, then that means you're probably gonna spend 2 hours here. If you don't have, you know, super good gear. If you have super good gear, then you're gonna be able to do this even in 20 minutes if you rush really fast. All sorts of challenges. One of them is to disable these fire spitting totems. These bees are pretty annoying. What we do, we have an interrupt rotation, so this was the first interrupt. Then it's gonna come the second, which didn't actually come in time, but usually we have an interrupt rotation. I do first, another DPS does second, and so on, so on. Just so the bees would stay in one place, because as you notice, they have a cast that pushes you away, and also it pushes the bee away. So let's see, whenever one's gonna cast, I'm gonna do it. That's the first. Only one cast at a time. So that's the second. As you can see, the bee is still there, and by the time the third comes, we already kill it. In your case, you're gonna probably have to do around 4 or even 5 interrupt rotations to be able to keep the bees there until you're gonna finish them. But that's fine. That's absolutely fine. I say Tom is a nice guy, taking those pillars. This dungeon gives really good loot, so if you're looking to have like a really good gear before raiding, I think it gives you like a support system or an implant that's really good. So do farm this dungeon. All the other pieces are good as well. It drops weapons as well that are pretty good. The PvP ones are better as of now, but these ones are good as well. Now, this boss, let me tell you just a couple of things about it. This boss, actually, fuck it, I'm not gonna tell you anything. Just, you put a CC break, guys. If you are doing this boss for one of your first times, put a CC break. I personally don't have a CC break because I'm the tank. Neither does our friend engineer. As you can see, he is tethered to that pillar, and the boss keeps spitting fire on him. He can just take it because he has pretty good gear and he's also heavy. But if you're a light, you would like to take a CC break. Now comes this phase when the boss pushes you up in the air, drops your HP to really low. Don't worry, he doesn't do anything after, and you don't take damage unless you hit this firewall. And you just have to find the right spots in the firewall. If you're not sure on yourself, go a bit more to the door, zoom in on your camera, and then you're gonna have lots more time from one fire wave to another in which you can react to going left and right. A speed potion is good to have. A mobility skill is good to have as well. Again, a fire phase. That's because we did so much DPS in the first phase that the boss is actually skipping some parts. And see, this is where a mobility skill comes in handy, because sometimes there's a gap here, and then on the next wave there's a gap all the way to the other side. So taking a firewall does really much damage to you. Let me show you. And also fails the challenge. So for me it did 4 times 1.2k, which is pretty much damage. For a light, it's almost basically all of your HP. And for example, if your healer is really stressed and doesn't have time to heal you in this phase, then you're gonna be left with that really few amount of HP from the time it pushes you up. So pay attention to that. Mobility skill, CC break. If you're a DPS, stay safe, use your CC break when he spits the fire on you. If you're a tank, just face tank it. If you're a healer, pay attention to the group members and just make them feel safe. Now, you go speak to the lady after you finish, Selene, and you are back here. You're gonna see arrows everywhere basically, so you'll see, just guide yourself on the arrows. Every time after you finish a boss, you need to speak with Selene. So she will teleport you to the next point, and from there on you just follow the arrows. Again, they interrupt things. I'm gonna do the first. I didn't do the first. No, I did. And second was done also. Just a half of a second too late, so the bee got stunned, but the bee did get to do the cast, so it did move away, which is not, you know, very cool for the party, because then you need to move all the way there to DPS it, and then you kill all the other 4 bees and one gets to stay alive, and just continue DPSing on that. It just makes the run, you know, longer. So be smart, guys, you know, think about things like this that make your run faster. This is another mini boss. This is a pretty fun one. It has some skills that you need to interrupt. This would be nice to interrupt. It gives you a moment of opportunity and it's a small cast. Whirlwind, this is a must because it's just basically 2 shots heavies, DPSs, and 1 shot lights if they're for some reason close. So 3 interrupts if you have as a tank is really good. So you can do one of the skills, and then if you make 2 DPS have 2 interrupts each, or even 1 and 2, they can do the other skill themselves. Pack of trash mobs, spiders, nothing spectacular. Just know that they will leave one of these things on the ground, and when they get to 0, they will spawn little spiderlings that also need to be killed. We kill them fast, but you with not so good gear probably are going to have to think about not letting those spiderlings go to the group members, because there are quite many of them, and you need to keep a taunt for them, because if they go on a light and you don't kill them fast enough, then basically they just destroy that light. I think we aggroed something. It's just a mob. We're gonna just... Or are we? We have one person behind. Right. This mob blinds you. You know, in general, guys, in all dungeons, not only in this one, it is pretty important to have an interrupt rotation. And if you're doing this dungeon, for example, you as a tank plus 1 friend DPS plus a healer, then just split your interrupts amongst yourselves. Healers usually don't really like to take, they sometimes take 2, they don't really like to take 3. So as a tank, that's why I said you should have 3. As a DPS, you should have 2. If you want to be nice, you know, just sacrifice a little bit of your DPS and have 3, then that's good as well. And do an interrupt rotation. You know, don't be afraid of talking to your people. Hey, I do the first cast. Let me tell you how we do it. We do it like this. I do the first cast of a mob or a pack of mobs or a boss. Whatever that cast might be, if it's interruptible, I do it with 3 alone. Then the party members, we have again split by them. It's 5 party members, so we do it like that. I do it alone with 3. Then the other warrior does it alone second with 3. Then we have on third a Spellslinger or an Esper, or a Spellslinger or a Medic, or 2 Medic DPSs that they do third together. Usually by the time the third is done and we get 3 moments of opportunity, then the mob or the boss is already close to being dead, or he doesn't really do any more any other casts. Um, you also do the same. Find a group of friends and, you know, play this game right, because it's really important for you to get used to it. Having an interrupt rotation helps you with 3 things. Number 1, it makes you a better player yourself, because you not only need to just stand there like a potato and press 1, 2, 3, 4, you also need to be part of something more important, which is helping your group do more damage by interrupting. Number 2, it makes you part of a thing, a rotation, something, which is really important for later on raiding, when you're gonna need to do something and you're gonna be, you know, just being all stupid about it, not knowing what exactly does that mean. So it makes you be part of your group more than just, you know, just like a potato DPSing. Number 3, it makes you get used to it, and the more you get used to interrupting, the faster there is the run, the more clutch plays you can do, the more you can save your allies by interrupting something that they don't, and, you know, it makes you just overall a better player. Now this guy right here, he's a pretty fun guy. I'm gonna explain to you while we do it. He does basically a couple of things. You need to pay attention to 3 of them. First of all of his casts are going to be interrupted. So, you know, he doesn't really have casts that you cannot interrupt, except this one. This one, he puts a root on 4 members, and then he leaves one, in our case Almaria, with a huge shield on him. And then that person that has a shield, like you see, he needs to run through all of those bombs that come from the door. So you need to do the same. If you notice you have a yellow shield, just run through those things. Now, the guy, is he almost dead? What? Well, guys, you saw only 1 out of the 3 things, but let me explain to you the other 2. The second one would be he casts a skill, how is it, Totem of Life, or how is it called? I don't know, something with life. I cannot remember from the top of my head. That skill has needs 3 interrupt armor skills to interrupt it. So you interrupt it, because otherwise he's just gonna heal to full. That's one thing that the tank can do. Another thing that he does is place a how is that called? Clover leaf, I think. That's right. Those lucky leprechaun leaves. Right. So he places a clover leaf on the ground, which you guys need to avoid, and you kind of need to be really fast in avoiding it, because it ticks really fast, and it's one of the challenges for this boss to avoid that. So pay attention to the clover leaf, pay attention to his casts. Also, if you kill it too slow, he's going to get a little bit enraged, let's say, which in turn means that he is gonna hit you as a tank really fast. So you need to get past that stage really quickly and get into another stage, whether it's gonna be that yellow shield, or whether it's gonna be the clover leaf again, or the life thing in which he heals. You need to DPS fast as a DPS during that stage. No frontal things for that boss, so as a DPS you don't need to worry about where you sit. As a tank you don't need to worry about where you tank the boss exactly. If you want a little tip for that boss, try to tank it next to the door. Because if you tank it next to the door when he wants to go to do that root and shield phase, then he needs to walk all the way to the back of the room, which gives you more time to DPS. So it's a thing you can do. I don't really do it, but I should be doing it. But you should do it as well. This was a mini boss. He does some other things. He spawns an elemental as well. You can interrupt him. One time the tank first, the other time all the DPSs together. If you have some pugs, then they don't interrupt ever. Holy shit, I mean, pugs, right? With pugs, if I play myself with 4 pugs, I bring 7 interrupts. That's that's how it is. 7 interrupts because as a warrior is possible, and why not? I use 3 on the first, 3 on the second, and I help them with 1 on the third, because holy shit, they don't do damage and they don't interrupt either. So probably people don't know and they don't really care that much, but you guys should care because it makes you a better player overall. Doesn't matter who you're playing with. What I always say, it doesn't matter if you're doing a gold run or not a gold run, or if you're with guildies or family, or if you're playing with the developers of the game. Always try to get this any dungeon your personal gold. So you do all the challenges, you try to avoid everything, you be perfect. Doesn't matter if you get the gold or not. This mini boss right here, let's go. Can you tell them, Almaria? Me and Posos, and then you and Amion. Yeah, the interrupts. Anyway, this mini boss has a cast that needs to be interrupted. One very important tip here: as a tank, please run in first, because on the first person that he aggroes, he's gonna put a root and he's gonna do some massive damage to that person. So you be the tank that runs always in first. So I'm just gonna use my dash to go in. This is the one, the Ravage. It's really important to be the tank having this. This is what needs to be interrupted. Strain, overgrowth, always interrupted. Otherwise he's gonna spawn shitloads of ads and he's gonna put shitloads of telegraphs. In your case, it probably needs to be interrupted 2 or 3 times. In our case, it was just 1. So you have plenty of time. If you're a warrior even, you have plenty of time to interrupt solo the first and the second cast as well, because I think it's just like 0.5 seconds away from the 17-second cooldown that warriors have. So that's pretty cool. You can do that yourself, but just for safety, do tank plus 1 DPS first, everyone else, the healer and the other 2 DPS on second. It's really important. It's pretty hard boss. It didn't look like that, but it's pretty hard. Now, some events along the way, like killing those mold corruptors, we're gonna kill them. Also, same thing, use your tank. See, they have 1 interrupt armor. Use your tank to do the first. There you go, you get a moment of opportunity, you get more damage. It's important to interrupt, guys. Always do it. No, don't do it always. Do it when he casts something so you can actually get a move. Something aggroed. Yeah, there's like a bunch of 3 little friends. And 2 other little friends. By the way, since we aggroed, these tacticians and the slashers, they are very dangerous mobs, because if you don't interrupt them, they do a skill in which they jump from player to player in the party and they disarm you. So that's pretty annoying, because they disarm you and then you need to take your weapon back. By the time you get to DPS them again and attack them and everyone gets their weapons back, by that time the other one does the skill and he disarms you again. So you're gonna just keep having to run after your weapons, and you definitely don't have a CC break skill here, at least for this trash. This other boss, this is actually a pretty hard boss. Let me just quickly tell the DPS to take it really slow. What do you mean it's normal, it's not better? This is the normal version? Right. Well, that I didn't know. Anyway, the guide is the same for all the bosses, so let's just take it really slow here. It doesn't really matter, normal, veteran, whatever. Same thing. As a tank, in this boss, you just don't DPS at all, Almaria. He will spawn these ads, right? So he will spawn these ads that people need to be stacked up. This is another skill that you either interrupt or you just avoid by sitting in one of those little squares. We're gonna let him do another skill now. I'm gonna take off the power link also, there's no need. The other skills that he does, let's see, he summons the swarm again, which basically means that you as a tank, this is again the same thing, pushes you up and does some damage. when doing so. Very easy to interrupt. The boss has only 2 interrupt armors, so 3 interrupt armor skills would do the trick. Let's see what else. Does he do anything, or he's not gonna help me out at all? Yep, there we go. This is a nice phase. So the egg phase. Since you're stacked up, all the eggs are gonna be there at the boss. You need to run away from these eggs, because when they reach the end, you don't want to know what happens. Again, this skill, this time interrupted, you get a nice moment of opportunity. And he does one more thing, but I don't think we're gonna see this. Ah, look, this, nice. If you get next to other people, then where you're gonna get pushed to away and up, and it's gonna do a lot of damage. This is basically, it doesn't spread, but it does a lot of damage. Now we can kill him. You guys seen all the mechanics, so these are all the things that can happen in this boss fight. Other than that, straightforward, stack up under the boss so that you as a tank can take the aggro of the swarm and the DPS can cleave through the swarm. If the boss is there where it is now and one guy is DPSing from here just because he can, then some of the swarm will come to him, and you as a tank there are not gonna give a fuck to go back and take the aggro, and he's gonna die. So tell your group members to stack up, and as a healer, if they're stacked up, it's even easier. So 2 in 1. That's why these drops were so shit. I didn't even notice, I was too focused on explaining. Anyway, and when that is done, yeah, I think we're good to go for the last thing. Now, we're gonna ignore these things, and we're just gonna... I guess Tom didn't get it. And now he's gonna die. And we're just gonna run. And you can use your mobility skill to get past past these rocks. How did they reset? They resetted on Tom, can you believe it? Anyway, we're gonna ignore these as well, and we're gonna go up here. Now, if you get up here, this is not the best place you can get, because as a warrior, if I would double jump and use my bum rush, I'm gonna go straight into the wall. So that means I'm gonna go in assault and use my leap. Nice. Because if I use my leap, it's gonna push me, as I said in the warrior DPS, in the warrior tank build video, it's gonna push me a little bit upwards. So that's why leap is good in some situations. Now, if a person dies here, he's just gonna be racing up right here, so don't have to worry about anything. This is the last phase where you need to click all these pillars and start the fight. Basically, the challenge here is that the healer would heal Selene to full before we finish the phase. That is impossible not to be done, even if you have a pretty bad healer, or if you don't really have gear or whatnot. It's pretty easy to do. Absolutely no problem. I think Amion is as DPS, right? Yeah. So our healer is actually DPS, so you can see that he's just using the first skill to just heal up Selene. You just need to heal 1 million. Other than that, there's no challenge here for this particular phase of the dungeon. There is one more boss, the last boss after we finish this. Basically here just waves of mobs come, and eventually you're gonna be all nice, shiny and golden, so it's a good place to take some screenshots as well if you're into that. If you wanna see how you look golden, then take some screenshots. Still cannot believe this is normal version, fuck. Anyway, same mechanics, so nothing to worry about. Actually, this fits with my gear. And also your eyes are glowing, which is pretty cool. It looks like a Smodian. Look how cool you look. Why are you so angry, Almane? Right. Yeah, in the veteran version, the waves of mobs do come a lot faster, and they are stronger, and the bosses are stronger as well. So these bosses that which is basically one hit, they are stronger in the veteran version. And also these mobs, they come a little bit faster. They are not more often, they are same amount of waves, but they just come faster one after another. But as you can see, Selene is at the third pillar. In the veteran mode, she moves faster because basically, you know, she's the one dictating the waves of ads. And she's... Amion is trying to heal with the first skill. I don't even know if he's gonna make it actually. Let's see. 850. Ah, yeah, it will because he has the long cast. And now you're all nice and golden, so you can see all sorts of various classes, how they look golden. Chuas look really cool. Drakons, not so much. $995. See? Now he's at 1 million, so yeah. So basically she's done and we're going to the last boss. Now the last boss, I wouldn't say it's the hardest, not by far. You just need to pay attention and you just need to have a little bit of, you know, coordination with your group members. Other than that, it's pretty straightforward. It has a challenge. I'm gonna explain to you the challenge when we get to that part. Let's hope we will. I think we will get at least one wave, right? Right, we're gonna see. Anyway, so Selene comes and she's trying to take the sword, but the corruption is too strong, and now she has a big head. Oh, look what the big head she has. Where is she gone?
I can cleanse the entire sanctuary. Stand back.
Yeah, her head is huge.
No. The sword is not enough. The corruption too strong.
Right, and now she turns into evil broad mother, witch mother, whatever, dark mother Selene, so this looks a lot better. It's cooler and sexier. So basically she knocks you back, the tank, you take aggro, the DPS, not much to worry about here. Now what you can do, what you should do is stay in these green things. She is going to pull you to her like this. At times you need to go back into the light. You take damage if you're not into the light, and if you have some decent amount of gear you can just stack up. We usually stack up here behind, and her telegraph to pull doesn't reach until this point. It's gonna be the wave, right? So she's gonna blind you and she's gonna throw some waves towards a party member. Now, in our case, that party member was the engineer's bot, so the wave went the other way. This time, the wave went again the other way because it was on our medic. The challenge for this boss fight is to not... see, this is the wave. So the challenge for this boss fight is to always interrupt one of this effigy every time after you get blinded. So whenever you see it, you need to interrupt it. This wave does lots of damage if you don't really have gear, and also it is really cool if you guys would stack up at the back of the room, all 5 of you, right here in the middle. Since the wave is on a random group member, that means if all of you are stacked up here in the middle behind, then the wave is always gonna come in the middle behind on one of you. That way it's pretty easy to dash left and right and just avoid the wave and not take the damage. I do admit that if you want to do the challenge for gold, which is to always interrupt one of those shadows after every time you get blinded, you will have to assign one person to be on this side, because see, mobs come here as well, and one person needs to be here. You don't need to kill a mob every time, but you do need to interrupt a mob, a shadow, every time. The wave by chance came here. We have lots of people here and only one person on the other side, so a good spread would be basically one person here, I would say the tank, just on interrupting duty, and all of the other 4 members on the other side on the normal side, with the medic healing you from time to time as a tank. Other than that, not much to say. Let's see where's the next. The next one is there. It got interrupted, killed, and we're good to go. We did fail the challenge in the previous round, but that's not the point. And now the boss is dead. You just got a glimpse of the last phase, which is the room turns red and black and you need to stand in the light again. That telegraph moves left, right, back and forward, so you kinda need to be fast on your fingers and it's really fun to do as well. Yeah, not much to say anything else. Dungeon, usually if you're a new player, you're gonna not wanna do it after you do it once, because it's gonna probably take you an hour and a half. You're not even gonna see the last boss. If you have a party of 5 and you wanna just prove yourself and do it, you can definitely do it. We did it in 35 minutes. That's because sometimes we stopped and I explained, and you know, we had some communication things since we're not on TeamSpeak. You guys can definitely do it in 35 as well, and it's very rewarding if you do the veteran version and not this low BS version that we did. It's not low, it's still level 50 and hard, but yeah, you should definitely do the veteran one. Other than that, if you enjoyed this video, guys, subscribe. I wish you all the best. I wish to see you in game, and lots of love from me, and this time from my guildies as well. Bye.